Angel Reese just got traded, and not quietly, not respectfully, but in a way that just exposed everything. Because this didn't feel like a basketball move. This felt like an escape, a breakup, a franchise saying, "We're done." And the craziest part? It happened the moment free agency opened. No waiting, no hesitation. Boom. Gone. Angel Reese. Out of Chicago. And when the details dropped, it got even more shocking. 2 first-round picks. Let that sink in. A player who just made all-star appearances. Traded like a problem the team needed to get rid of. Not build around. Not protect. Get rid of. And that's when the questions started hitting hard. What happened behind the scenes? How bad did things get in that locker room? Because players like this don't get moved this fast unless something is seriously wrong. Then the whispers turned into something darker. Talk of quitting on the team, refusing to check into games, calling out teammates, locker room tension boiling over. And suddenly, this wasn't about stats anymore. This was about trust. Because while Angel Reese was building a brand, Chicago Sky was quietly losing patience. And when patience runs out in professional sports, it doesn't end with a warning. It ends with a trade. And now, she's in Atlanta. New team, new system, new expectations. But here's the real question nobody is ready to answer yet. Did Angel Reese just escape a bad situation? Or did Chicago Sky escape her? Because what really happened behind the scenes is way more explosive than anyone expected. And this story, it's just getting started. Before the trade, before the headlines, before the chaos exploded across social media, there was already something breaking behind the scenes. Angel Reese didn't arrive in Chicago as just another player. She came in as a statement. Confidence loud, energy unmatched, a personality that demanded attention the second she stepped on the floor. From LSU dominance to WNBA spotlight, she carried herself like someone who wasn't here to fit in. She was here to take over. And at first, it looked like it might actually work. Double-doubles stacked up. Rebounds turned into highlights. The cameras stayed locked on her every move. She wasn't just playing. She was building a brand, a presence, a name that people couldn't ignore. But slowly, quietly, things started shifting. Because while Angel Reese was growing in popularity, the Chicago Sky were falling apart. Losses piled up. Chemistry looked off. The team didn't feel connected. And in situations like that, someone always becomes the center of attention. And this time, it was her. Inside the locker room, frustration started building. Veterans expecting structure. Young players trying to find roles. Coaches trying to hold everything together. But the system? It didn't fully revolve around Angel, even though the spotlight did. And that's where tension began. Because when a player feels like the centerpiece, but the system doesn't treat them like one, that gap creates problems. Real ones. Then came the moments that nobody could ignore. Reports of disagreements. Subtle shots in interviews. Body language that didn't look right. Teammates responding without saying names. But everyone knew. Something was off. And then it escalated. The incident that changed everything. A game where Angel Reese didn't check back in. A moment that raised eyebrows across the league. Questions started flying. Was she hurt? Was it coaching? Or was it something deeper? Because in professional sports, players don't just sit out moments like that. Not without consequences. And suddenly, the narrative started turning. From rising star to locker room problem. From future of the franchise to potential distraction. And once that label starts forming, it spreads fast. Teammates feel it. Coaches react to it. Front offices start planning around it. And that's exactly what Chicago did. Because while fans were still focused on highlights, the organization was watching something else. Behavior, consistency, fit. And the more they evaluated, the more one question kept coming up. Can we actually build around her? Or are we forcing something that isn't working? And when that doubt enters the building, everything changes. Because franchises don't wait. They don't hope things magically fix themselves. They act, quietly at first, then aggressively. And while Angel Reese was still playing, still posting, still building her image, Chicago Sky was already making a decision. A decision that wouldn't just change her career. It would expose everything that had been happening behind the scenes. Because by the time the trade became public, it wasn't a sudden move. It was the final step of something that had been falling apart for a long time. And nobody outside the organization had any idea how deep it really went. The moment the trade became official, everything snapped into place. All the rumors, all the tension, all the weird moments people tried to ignore suddenly made sense. Because this wasn't just a trade. This was a message, and it was loud. Angel Reese wasn't moved because of talent. She wasn't moved because of potential. She was moved because something behind the scenes broke. And the first shocking twist? It wasn't the trade itself. It was how fast it happened. Free agency barely opened, and Chicago wasted zero time. No hesitation. No negotiations dragging out. No, we're exploring options. Just boom. Done. That doesn't happen unless a decision was already made. And when people realized that, the reaction changed instantly. Because now the question wasn't, why did they trade her? It became, how long had they been trying to get rid of her? And that's when the real details started surfacing. The locker room tension, the disagreements with teammates, the subtle shots that weren't so subtle anymore, veterans feeling disrespected, names like Courtney Vandersloot being pulled into the conversation, Ariel Atkins stepping up publicly, moments where it felt like the team wasn't united, now being re-examined under a completely different light. And then came the most explosive part, the incident, the one people tried to brush off at the time, Angel Reese not checking back into the game. At first, it was confusion, then speculation, then silence. But now it looked different. Now it looked like a breaking point. Because in professional sports, you don't refuse moments like that unless something is seriously wrong. And if the reports are even partially true, that wasn't just frustration. That was a line being crossed. And organizations don't tolerate that. Not when they're trying to rebuild. Not when they're trying to create culture. And definitely not when it starts affecting the locker room. Which leads to the most brutal reality of this entire situation. The Sky didn't just trade Angel Reese. They chose the locker room over her. Think about that. A young star. All-star appearances. Massive fan base. And they still said, we're better off without this. That's not a basketball decision. That's a culture decision. And those are always deeper. Always more serious. And then came the numbers behind the trade. 2 first-round picks. On the surface, that looks like value. But dig deeper, and it becomes something else. Because teams don't give up assets like that unless they see upside. But teams also don't trade a player like Reese this early, unless they see a problem. So now, 2 realities exist at the same time. Atlanta sees opportunity. Chicago saw a risk. And that split, that's where the real story lives. Because while one franchise is betting on her future, the other just walked away from it. Completely. And fans, they felt that. Immediately. Some celebrated it. Fresh start. She needed this. Chicago was holding her back. Others, they weren't buying it. You don't trade a player like that unless something went wrong. This is bigger than basketball. She forced her way out. And just like that, the narrative split. Not into right or wrong, but into belief. Do you believe Angel Reese was misused? Or do you believe she became too much to handle? And then, right in the middle of all this chaos, Angel Reese spoke. One tweet. Simple. ATL, what up? No explanation. No denial. No emotion. Just confidence. And somehow, that made everything louder. Because silence explains nothing, but it makes people assume everything. And now, with the truth still unclear, with both sides telling different stories, with the entire league watching closely, one thing became undeniable. This wasn't just a trade. This was a fallout. And the real story behind it might be even bigger than what we're seeing right now. And just when people thought the drama would slow down after the trade, it got worse. Way worse. Because the moment Angel Reese landed in Atlanta, the narrative didn't reset. It multiplied. Now it wasn't just about what went wrong in Chicago. It was about what happens next. And whether Atlanta just made the smartest move of free agency, or the biggest mistake. Because here's the second major twist nobody expected. Atlanta didn't just trade for Angel Reese. They committed to her. 2 first-round picks. That's not a gamble. That's belief. That's a franchise saying, we see something Chicago didn't. And that instantly created tension across the league. Because now, one team looks like they escaped a problem. The other looks like they just inherited it. And fans, they split instantly. Chicago fans started doubling down. Good riddance. Locker room saved. We got our picks. We're rebuilding. But Atlanta fans, they went the other way. This is a steal. She's a star. She just needed the right system. And just like that, Angel Reese became the center of another war. Not just about her past, but about her future. And then the pressure hit another level. Because now, she wasn't just proving Chicago wrong. She had to justify Atlanta's decision. Every rebound, every shot, every possession was now being evaluated differently. Because when a team gives up that much for you, there are no excuses. And the media, they didn't wait. They immediately started building the storyline. Redemption arc, fresh start, new opportunity. But underneath those headlines, there was doubt, real doubt, because the same questions followed her to Atlanta. Can she fit into a structured system? Can she handle veteran leadership? Can she produce when it actually matters? And most importantly, can she win? Because that's the one thing that hasn't followed her yet. And that's where the pressure becomes dangerous. Because now, she's not just competing against opponents. She's competing against expectations, against narratives, against everything people believe about her. And then came another layer to this situation, one that made everything even more complicated. The roster. Because Atlanta isn't Chicago. This isn't a struggling team trying to figure it out. This is a team that's already competitive. Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Bree Jones, veteran presence, structure, expectations. This isn't a place where you can dominate the spotlight without earning it. This is a place where roles matter, where chemistry matters, where egos have to be controlled. And that's where the real question starts getting uncomfortable. Can Angel Reese adjust? Because in Chicago, she was the face. In Atlanta, she's a piece. And that transition, it's not easy, especially for someone who's built their identity on being the center of attention. And if she doesn't adjust, if the same issues follow her, if the same tension starts building again, then this trade doesn't fix anything. It exposes everything. And that's what makes this so dangerous. Because now, there's no safety net. No excuses about bad teams. No excuses about poor systems. No excuses about development. This is a winning environment, which means one thing. Results matter. Immediately. And if they don't come, if the chemistry isn't right, if the performance doesn't match the expectation, if the locker room starts feeling the same pressure Chicago felt, then the narrative flips again. From Chicago gave up too soon, to Chicago knew exactly what they were doing. And that's the risk Atlanta just took. A massive one. Because they didn't just trade for talent. They traded for everything that comes with it. The spotlight, the pressure, the controversy, the expectations. And now, the entire league is watching. Not just to see if Angel Reese succeeds, but to see who was right. Chicago or Atlanta. And the answer to that question? It's coming sooner than anyone thinks. The moment the reality settled in, the internet exploded. Not just reactions, not just opinions, full-blown chaos. Because this wasn't just a basketball move anymore. This became personal. Chicago fans felt betrayed. Atlanta fans felt energized. And neutral fans? They picked sides instantly. Social media turned into a battlefield. Clips resurfaced. Old interviews got dissected. Every missed shot, every sideline reaction, every attitude moment suddenly became evidence. And the narratives got uglier. Fast. One side painted Angel Reese as misunderstood, a young star thrown into a broken system. They never built around her. They never gave her a real chance. The other side, they went nuclear. Locker room problem. Too much drama. Stats don't translate to winning. And right in the middle of all of it, her name kept trending, nonstop, because controversy follows attention. And Angel Reese, she brings attention. But here's where things got even more emotional. Chicago Sky players stayed quiet. No big farewell messages. No emotional tributes. No public reactions that matched the magnitude of the move. And that silence, it spoke louder than anything. Fans noticed immediately. Why isn't anyone saying anything? Where's the love? Where's the support? Because in sports, when a player leaves on good terms, you feel it. But this felt cold, and that fueled even more speculation. Was the locker room really divided? Were relationships already broken? Did teammates already move on before the trade even happened? Nobody had answers, but everyone had opinions. And that's where things started spiraling. Then came the media pressure. Every sports show, every podcast, every analyst jumped in. Some defended her, calling this a wake-up call, saying she needed structure, saying Atlanta could unlock her real potential. Others didn't hold back, questioning her maturity, her leadership, her ability to handle pressure at the highest level. And suddenly, this wasn't about one moment anymore. It became about her entire identity as a player and as a person, which is where the emotional weight really hit, because behind all the noise, behind the tweets, behind the headlines, there's a real human being dealing with this. A young star, still early in her career, now being dissected by millions. Every flaw magnified, every mistake replayed, every decision questioned. And instead of slowing down, it kept building. Because now, there's a comparison that won't go away. Caitlin Clark. While Angel Reese was dealing with backlash, Clark was trending for dominance. Record-breaking performances, packed arenas, league-changing impact, and the contrast. It became impossible to ignore. One rising as the face of the league, the other fighting narratives, just to stabilize her reputation. And fans noticed that too. They're going in opposite directions. One is elevating everything. The other is surrounded by controversy. And whether that's fair or not, it became reality, which added even more pressure. Because now, Angel Reese isn't just trying to succeed. She's trying to prove she belongs in that same conversation. And that's a different kind of pressure, a heavier one. And then came the final emotional blow. The worst player conversations, polls, fan debates, harsh rankings, brutal takes that went viral. Whether accurate or not, it didn't matter. The damage was already done, because once that label enters the conversation, it sticks. And now, every game becomes a response. Every performance becomes defense. Every mistake becomes confirmation. And as the noise keeps getting louder, as the expectations keep rising, as the pressure keeps building, one question is starting to take over everything. Is this the moment that breaks Angel Reese? Or the moment that creates something nobody saw coming? And just when it felt like the story had already reached its peak, everything flipped. Again. Because behind all the chaos, behind the trade, behind the backlash, there was one detail nobody paid enough attention to. Until now, Atlanta didn't just trade for Angel Reese. They built a plan around her, quietly, strategically, and that changes everything. Because according to insiders, this wasn't a panic move. This wasn't a reaction. This was calculated. From the moment free agency started, Atlanta was targeting her, watching, waiting, and when Chicago made her available, they didn't hesitate. They attacked, which means something huge. They don't see her as a risk. They see her as a weapon, and that completely flips the narrative. Because what if Chicago didn't give up on her? What if they simply didn't understand how to use her? What if the problem wasn't Angel Reese, but the system around her? That question alone is enough to shake everything people think they know. And then came the whispers, the ones that haven't fully hit the headlines yet, but are spreading fast behind the scenes. Atlanta plans to restructure their offense. More pick-and-roll involvement, more design touches, more control in transition. Everything Chicago didn't consistently give her, Atlanta is preparing to build around. And if that's true, then this isn't just a second chance. This is a setup for something dangerous. Because if Angel Reese starts producing in this system, if she starts winning, if she starts dominating in a way we haven't fully seen yet, then the narrative doesn't just shift, it explodes. From problem player to misused star, from locker room risk to franchise cornerstone. And suddenly, Chicago becomes the team that made the mistake, not her. But here's where the twist gets even deeper, because there's another layer nobody is ready for. Caitlin Clark. Because while all of this is happening, while Reese is stepping into a new system, while Atlanta is building something new, Clark is already ahead, already dominating, already becoming the face of the league, which sets up something the league quietly wants, but won't say out loud. A collision, not just a rivalry, a storyline, a redemption versus dominance narrative. Angel Reese, with something to prove. Caitlin Clark, with everything to defend. And if Atlanta becomes competitive, if Reese finds a rhythm, if both paths collide at the right time, this won't just be basketball anymore. This will be the biggest storyline in the WNBA. And that's where everything gets dangerous. Because pressure creates moments, and moments create legends, or break them completely. So now, the stakes are clear. This trade wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something bigger, much bigger. A test, a reset, a gamble. For Angel Reese, for Atlanta, and for the entire league watching closely. Because in the next few months, everything will be decided. Was Chicago right to let her go? Or did they just hand another team a future superstar? And more importantly, when the lights are the brightest, when the pressure is at its highest, when the moment finally arrives, will Angel Reese rise into what Atlanta believes she can be? Or will this entire situation collapse under the weight of expectation? Because one thing is certain now, the next chapter isn't coming quietly. It's coming loud, and it's coming fast. Now everything is set. The trade is done. The sides are chosen. The narratives are locked in. But the real question is, what do you believe? Was Angel Reese truly a problem in Chicago? Or was she a star trapped in the wrong system? Did the Sky make a smart move for their future? Or did they just give away a player who's about to explode in Atlanta? Because this isn't just about one trade anymore. This is about reputation, legacy, and who controls the story moving forward. And let's be real, the moment Angel Reese steps back on the court in that Atlanta jersey, every single possession is going to mean something. Every stat, every reaction, every win or loss. So I want you to do this right now. Drop your take in the comments. No filters, no safe answers. Was this a mistake or a master move? And if Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark collide again, who are you taking? Because trust me, this story is far from over. And the next chapter, it might shock the entire league.